Namaste, and you're all very welcome to this Women's Day special episode where we are going to address women's health concern. A strong woman knows she has strength enough for the journey, but a woman of strength knows it is in the journey where she will become strong. So, yoga is a journey, and you will become strong if you continue on this path. So, I have two very special guests who actually have dedicated their work for women's health. So, both of our guests are expert yoga teachers, and we also have Sangamitra Sanyal, who is going to do singing for Women's Day. So, let's welcome everyone. First, we have Neve Daly. You're very welcome, Neve. Namaste.
Thank you so much for having me on this auspicious day. I love International Women's Day. It's like a little gift for us to think about how fabulous we all are in any way that we like.
Absolutely. And Mari is here as well. Welcome, Mari.
Thank you very much, Aparna. I'm very honoured to join both you and Neve today.
Thank you. And Sangamitra. Namaste.
Namaskar. Thank you for inviting me here. Lovely meeting you, beautiful people.
I'll just give a very brief introduction about Neve. So, Neve is owner of Instinct Yoga, and Neve has been teaching Hatha Yoga for 17 years and one of Ireland's longest standing teachers. She holds an advanced diploma in nutrition coaching and is a Pilates teacher as well. And she has a lot of curiosity about the habitual holdings and reactions in the body from the physical and emotional stimuli. And she provides teacher training on stages of menopause. And the course is starting on March 12th. So we will get Neve to talk more about that. And Mary Purcell Flynn is a co-owner of Breathe Yoga and Pilates Studio in Trim. And Mary has been with us before and has shared her wonderful practice. And Sangamitra Sanyal is a singer and she is an IT professional. And she is a yoga lover as well. She practices yoga. So let's start with you, Sangamitra. So are you going to sing something? First of all, tell us that what are you going to sing today?
Yes, so like when we say International Yoga, International Women's Day doesn't mean that I am only celebrating 24 hours of my life. We are celebrating the day we are born as a woman. So I will start with Saraswati Bandana. You might be knowing Saraswati, Devi Saraswati. She is the goddess of wisdom, knowledge, and everyone in this earth are all the knowledge, intelligence, what you get it from her. So I will start with Saraswati Bandana so that everybody gets the same knowledge about Women's Day. And second bhajan I will be singing on Durga, Devi Durga, who is also an embodiment of women power.
Yes.
So it is uh, the success or win of good upon evil. So that is what Devi Durga is. So I will
Yes,
start.
before you start singing Sangamitra, I just want to welcome our guest, Lisa Mitten. She is, I don't know if Lisa is in Ireland at the moment or she has moved outside Ireland, but she's joining us on LinkedIn. And we are live on Facebook, we are live on LinkedIn, and we are live on YouTube. So welcome, Lisa. It's so lovely to hear from you. And we have Alka Mishra joining from India. And we welcome you all for this wonderful Women's Day celebration. So, yes, Sangamitra, we are really delighted that you are going to share some bhajans of Devi Durga, because when we talk about women empowerment, how could you not talk about Durga? So, yes.
Yeah. So is the Tanpura audible to you?
Yes.
Hmm. या कुन्देन्दु तुषार हार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्रावृता या वीणावर दण्डमण्डित करा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्करा प्रभृतिभिः देवे सदा वन्दिता या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्करा प्रभृतिभिः देवे सदा वन्दिता सा मां पतु सरस्वती भगवती निशेष जाड्या पाह So this was a small Saraswati Vandana. So I will move into a Bengali Durga bhajan describing Durga, Devi Durga, her power, and it goes like this. Thank you, Alkaji. Is the music not too loud?
It's good.
দুর্গে দুর্গে দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে 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 দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে দেবী দুর্গে জগত জননী তুমি মা মঙ্গলকারিণী দুর্গে দুর্গে দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে দেবী দুর্গে জগত জননী তুমি মা মঙ্গলকারিণী দুর্গে দুর্গে দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে দশ ভুজা দশ শাস্ত্রশালিনী মধু কৈটব সম্ভারিণী দশ ভুজা দশ শাস্ত্রশালিনী মধু কৈটব সংহারিণী আদিতিয়া তুমি অনন্ত দ্বিতীয়া তুমি অনন্ত ভবানী মা দুঃখ তারিণী দুর্গে দুর্গে দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে Thank you, Alkaji. শুম্ভনি শুম্ভ দানব দলনি ভক্তি মুক্তি দায়িনী শুম্ভনি শুম্ভ দানব দলনি ভক্তি মুক্তি দায়িনী জগ প্রসভিবি মহাযোগিনী জগ প্রসভিবি মহাযোগিনী চণ্ডিকে মা শিবানী দুর্গে দুর্গে দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে। সত্যগুণে মহাসরস্বতী রজগুণে মহালক্ষ্মী রূপিণী সত্যগুণে মহাসরস্বতী রজগুণে মহালক্ষ্মী রূপিণী তমগুণে মহাদুর্গা তুমি তমগুণে মহাদুর্গা তুমি মোহমায়া সনাতনী দুর্গে দুর্গে দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে 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 দুর্গতি নাশিনী মহিষাসুর মর্দিনী জয় মা দুর্গে। দেবী দুর্গে জগত জননী তুমি মা মঙ্গলকারিণী দেবী দুর্গে জগত জননী তুমি মা মঙ্গলকারিণী। মহাসরস্বতী মহালক্ষ্মী রূপিণী মহাদুর্গা তুমি সনাতনী মা Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we have here Anga Shumitra Banerjee, who is praising your beautiful rendition. And Alka Mishra, of course, and Shreya Das. So all our Bengali friends are becoming really happy with your singing of bhajans. Shreya Das is here. She's saying beautiful singing and presentation.
Thank you.
So, Jai Ma Durga, as we say. Beautiful. So let's move on to 𝐁. 𝐁, can you tell us a little bit about Yin Instinct Yoga? What is it? And how it is different from other regular yoga?
Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for that beautiful singing. I was just thinking as you were singing how valuable singing is for our nervous system, and chanting and singing is something that really supports that parasympathetic response that we're all in need of. Yeah, Yinstinct Yoga obviously is a play on the word instinct and the word yin. And I've been teaching, as you said, Hatha Yoga for many years, 18 years this month, which I'm proud of. And I trained very traditionally in India, and then was mentored by an Iyengar teacher, and so I got very steeped into asana and the very particular way of performing particular postures and alignment based and all of that kind of thing. And then as my life went on and my teaching went on, I encountered yin yoga about 10 years ago, and I did fall in love with it at the time. I'm not as madly in love with it now as I used to be, but around the same time I was starting to feel that I wasn't enjoying just ticking the boxes of postural asana, and that I really wanted to start exploring how my body was truly responding to it. So yin yoga and a bit of dive into somatic yoga and hatha yoga combined with my sense of joy in inhabiting the human body kind of united and created Yinstinct. I think one of the things that makes me mad about the world, and particularly for women, because we're expected to turn up in the world in a very particular way, is that we take all our choices come from the outside of stuff we're told to do. And I really wanted to play with moving with what do I want to do instead? What does my body really truly respond to? And in that lies the health of our nervous system, because any amount of running or any amount of standing on your head, if your system doesn't like those things, it's not good for your system. So it's about finding what's truly good for the individual.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that, because it's so simple. Like, just simply once, if you take a conscious breath, you immediately activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and your body has this innate capacity to come back to its natural state and come out of the stress mode. But people just don't want to take time sometimes, and they're too busy doing so many things.
I think also, though, yes, it's about time and not giving your fullness to the practice. I think people will come to a yoga practice and they could be doing all the breath work in the world, but they're not present. They're thinking about what's next. They're thinking about what was before, which of course is part of the human condition. But
Yes.
you know, even taking a deep yogic breath, for some people that may not be good for their nervous system if, for instance, they have post-traumatic stress. So it's really finding if a deep breathing practice is not okay for you, something like breath retention could be immensely difficult for the nervous system of someone who's in post-traumatic stress. So it's really about listening to how do I respond to each of these individual things. I mean, that's how people discover which kind of yoga is the journey for them. And we know that doesn't have to only be breath work. It doesn't have to only be asana. There's other ways to achieve connection with yourself and with the rest of humanity and our planet.
Absolutely. And there are these 3 periods in women's life when there is a major hormonal shift. So that first stage is menarche, means when the period starts. And then the second stage is pregnancy. And then the third stage is menopause. So somehow yoga is very well received now and has become immensely popular amongst pregnant women. And I can tell you, because many of my clients, because I'm a midwife, and I know that a lot of my clients actually do pregnancy yoga. It's like a religion that if you're pregnant, you must do yoga. But how can we bring that for menopause? So I want to ask Mary, because she has taken this course and now she's dedicating her practice, a lot of classes for women's health, and there is a course either running or starting. So tell us, Mary, what draws you in this women's stage of life, menopause?
Thank you very much, Aparna. I should certainly highlight that my inspiration in this whole area was 𝐁 Daly, and I attended her Yoga for the Stages of Menopause course for yoga teachers last year and found it revolutionized my whole approach to my yoga practice as well as to my teaching. And from her work, I developed my own course for people in the local area or people further afield who can join us online. And it's called the Women's Wellbeing course. There's one currently running at the moment, and we'll have another one running shortly after Easter. So we're taking expressions of interest and we'll have the booking open shortly for that. So really, every woman, no matter what age they are, once they live long enough, will go through the menopause. Not every woman will be pregnant. And the menopause is common to everybody, wherever they are, all over the world, whatever status in work or in life they may have, whether they're rich or poor, whether they're working, wherever they're working or not working. So it's common to all women, and so very appropriate that we should be discussing this on International Women's Day. It's been a subject that has been taboo for far too long, as 𝐁 highlights very well in a lot of her work. And it's only literally in the last year or so that it's got more publicity and people are speaking about it openly here in this country. And it's great to see the progress, but there's a lot more work to do.
Absolutely, I agree. And 𝐁, tell us a little bit about your course, which already you have a testimonial right here from Mary. She is telling about the course that you have created. And this is actually, I was going through your website, and it's a 40 hours training, if I'm right. It's
Yeah.
the only one of its kind in Ireland, and of only 2 similar courses worldwide. And so it's quite a unique course that some woman realized that, come on, we are doing yoga, but we need to do more. We need to develop some specialized course. So tell us a little bit about this course.
Thank you. Yeah, so I must update my website because yes, when I began the course, as far as when I wrote it, I thought it was the only one going to be appearing in the world. But at the same time, someone else in the UK was writing one, and she launched just before me. And at the time, yes, we were the only 2 courses. But now actually I'm seeing in the last 9 months, since there's been a lot more talk about it, certainly in the UK and Ireland, that there's been more shorter courses popping up, different styles. I saw one which was basically a breathing course for menopause with some people who were specialists in breathing practices. But yes, there's a huge gap in the yoga world, as Mary was saying. Every single woman is going to go through this phase if she is lucky enough to live long enough. Not every woman is going to be either lucky or, depending on your perspective, unlucky enough to get pregnant. But there certainly is at least a module in most teacher trainings for yoga for pregnancy. And it is an extraordinary time in the human body where there's so many changes going on that it absolutely does need to be supported specifically. But the perimenopausal transition is much more impactful on the human body than pregnancy in many ways. And funny enough, one of the things that does match up with pregnancy, puberty, and menopause is brain changes, that the brain actually shrinks and then it regrows, it regroups and reconfigures itself. And that, of course, is a really common tendency in the perimenopausal transition for the brain changes to affect our confidence, our self-esteem, but also our forgetfulness or our ability to remember things and stay organized. So a lot of women will become unconfident, they'll lose self-esteem, they'll lose energy, and they may find that they used to be up the front row of a yoga class, you know, those women who just really are gung-ho and really deeply involved in the practice and particularly loving their asana. And then they start to feel these changes in their body, their confidence, their self-esteem, and they start to move back in the classroom. And the teacher may not be aware of what this person is going through as early as her mid-30s. You don't have to wait till your late 40s and 50s to start feeling these changes. And if the yoga teacher is unaware, I have definitely met women who've come to me saying, I ended up going to the back row and then out the door and I didn't come back. And I really don't want that for teachers or for yoga students to end up leaving their beloved lifeline of yoga because they don't feel that it is relevant to their changing bodies and temperature and all sorts of things. So it's really about making space for changes, because that is what it's all about. And the perimenopause transition in particular, and a short period before that called the late reproductive stage, are really tricky times for women to navigate. And yoga teachers are so trusted that we really need to step up to the plate and hold these women in a way that's relevant to their changing body. So the course details the late reproductive stage, the perimenopause and menopause, the biochemistry of all of those things, and then taking all the kind of research into yoga for X, Y, and Z, all sorts of different things that are impacted by perimenopause. I've brought all of that together to teach yoga teachers what they can focus on, what they might want to let go of, thinking about language, thinking about understanding the experiences of the individual, because it is so varied, and probably so much more.
Yes, and if anyone who is watching now and you have a question for Niamh or Mari, then please you can post your question now, because we will be having a yoga practice where they will demonstrate you some of the asanas that can support women in maintaining their health. So this is your opportunity, and please stay so that you can gain some practical knowledge from this session. So Mari, coming to you, how do you think this yoga practice, because Niamh has really highlighted the age, and I totally relate with that because I felt it in my own body. I couldn't believe, like, I had my children not so late. I mean, by 33 I had my both children, but my body felt like, oh my god. So I don't know whether I thought maybe because I've given birth to two children on a short space of time, but it could be that it would have happened anyway because of the age group. Like after 30, as you said, the musculoskeletal system start to go through changes. So how do you think yoga can support women in maintaining the bone strength, maintaining the muscle strength?
Well, it's never too late to start looking after our muscles and our bones in particular, Aparna. Particularly women, even in as early as their late 20s or 30s, we begin to lose our muscle mass and our bone density if we're not actually looking after them. So one of the most important things we could do in those early years is maybe to start working on our muscle strength and building up that muscle strength. Studies have shown that muscle strength, strong muscles, correspond with strong bones and help to build the bone mineral density, or BMD. As we age, there's less buildup of bone material and more breakdown of bone material. So it's very important to work on building that strength in the muscles to help strengthen the bones. If we have strong muscles, it's a bit like if you visualize you know the way in the airport when they wrap that cling wrap around luggage to keep it intact going on the airplane. If we visualize our muscles, our fascia, our tendons, everything, all those tissues wrapping around the bones, they strengthen and support the bones and stimulate the bone building tissues and help us to be stronger going forward. The more work we can put into looking after our muscles and bones in those earlier years as we approach menopause and perimenopause, the better strength and health we will have in our post-menopause years. So we want to really put the work in pre-menopause or around the menopause to live our healthiest post-menopause years, because we're all living longer and longer, thankfully, those of us who are lucky enough. So we want to make those as healthy as possible. So the practice I'll be doing shortly will start with mostly on footwork, because feet are the foundation, our total foundation of our structure, our skeleton, and support all our muscles and bones. And we can also lose a lot of the sensitivity in our feet as we age and maybe not be able to use all the tendons and ligaments there. So it's important to keep those working well.
We are really looking forward to have that footwork practice, because again, going back to that time after my pregnancy, like even during pregnancy, I developed some foot issues. And, you know, it was so hard that you're pregnant and then you have some issues in your foot, and they never went away completely, but absolutely, you know, they eased off. So I'm really looking forward to the foot practice. And as you said, that what we do now will determine how we will be in our bodies when we age, when we go through menopause. So there is a quote by Oprah Winfrey which says, doing the best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. So plan it now, do it now, time is now, and it's never too late. So until we are breathing, it's never too late. So Neve, will we now get ready and start with the practice? So you and Mari are going to show us the practice which will support women's body. But before we go into practice, there is a question here from Alka Mishra. She's in India, and she's asking that I'm suffering from autoimmune problem just after menopause, and what asanas can help me.
Yeah, so autoimmune issues can rear their head during perimenopause, and then you're left with them postmenopausally, because basically our system is really challenged in perimenopause with the changing of hormones, and there can be effects on our thyroid and a number of other autoimmune issues. I wouldn't be able to answer that specifically. It depends on what kind of autoimmune issue, but I would be more inclined to work with her one-to-one and go into nutrition as well and past health. I'm not a believer in the power of individual asanas to deal with specific things. I'm much more interested, or much more convinced by a wider approach to our wellness, to our health, that there's so many factors. I mean, there's the obvious, the 4 pillars of health, which are sleep, stress, nutrition and exercise, and nutrition and hydration and exercise, and also a healthy dose of self-compassion, and also some pleasure in life. But really, it's autoimmune issues are so broad. But I would probably start with her digestion and just looking into what's getting, sometimes in perimenopause the digestive system gets a little leakier, so stuff that shouldn't be going into the system is enabled to go through into the blood, and that can often promote an autoimmune response. It's not quite leaky gut, but if you think your gut wall is like this, normally in perimenopause it starts to just get a little more a little less robust, and so little things can get through that shouldn't be there, and that can promote the response. So I'd be starting working on her digestion, I think.
Thank you so much, Neve. And I think now we will start with the yoga practice. So Mary will first show the importance of bone and muscle health for women with a standing practice, and starting with belly breathing and bone strength work. And then Neve and they both will coordinate each other and leading us into meditation practice. So enjoy.
Thank you, Aparna. I would just have a little quote here before I start. Walking is a controlled falling because you need to let go in order to move forward. Greg Faxon. So it's a good one to bear in mind, because walking is important for all our lives. So if you'd like to stand on your mat or on a flat surface, it's advisable to have a chair nearby for support in case the balance is off. I also do this practice in my pregnancy yoga classes each week. So it's a very good one for the feet, because you mentioned, Aparna, how the feet can sometimes be problematic during the course of pregnancy. But it's always good to have a wall or a chair nearby for support. So just standing with the feet roughly hip distance apart, but once you feel comfortable, standing upright. Be aware of the connection between your feet and the ground beneath you. Have a little softness to the knees so you're not locking them out. And bring a gentle tone to the belly, as if you're drawing the hip bones towards each other, almost as if you're trying to draw the belly button back towards the spine. Visualize a golden thread now drawing the crown of the head skyward, so you're lengthening through the spine. And then relax and release the shoulders away from the ears. You might like to bring both hands to the belly now for our belly breathing. And begin to focus now on your inhale and your exhale. We mentioned about the parasympathetic nervous system. When we begin to breathe into our bellies, we dip into that rest digest mode, and it automatically takes us out of the fight or flight mode, which many of us are in, day out, just coping with our everyday chores and struggles. So as you slow down the breath, allow the belly to expand on the inhale, pressing into the hands. And as you exhale, allow the belly to relax and soften. Inhaling, ribs expanding, belly rising. Exhaling, belly softening, ribs relaxing down. And continue for a few more breaths now, breathing deeply into the belly, just in your own time with your own breath. Inhaling and exhaling at a pace that suits you. And bear in mind, this belly breathing is very good for calming the nervous system. It might be particularly useful if you have an important meeting or an interview coming up, to just take a few moments to breathe deeply into the belly and to calm and soothe the mind and body. Letting go of that practice now, allow the arms just to relax by the sides. Check in with your feet and take a gentle little rocking motion. It's very subtle now, just forward and back on the feet. You may not even notice my movement at all right here on the screen, but just notice that you're bringing the weight more into your toes as you move forward and then back into the heels. Now observe how that affects the rest of your legs. Notice how the ankles respond, the calves, the knees, even the big muscles of the thighs, just to keep you upright. How amazing our skeleton is, our muscle structure, holding us upright. that controlled fall that we mentioned for walking. Come back to center now, pause and change that subtle movement from side to side. So towards one little toe and then towards the other. It's a very tiny movement. But notice first of all how the feet respond, the ankles, the calves, the thighs, even all around the hips, the whole pelvic girdle, the pelvic floor area. Everything is adapting and connecting and keeping us upright. Come back to center now. And this is a stage where you might want to hold on to the chair if you need to. Make sure it's nearby. We're going to inhale as we lift the heels, raising up onto the toes. Exhale, lower the heels and take a little bend into the knees. Inhale, rising up, lift the heels. Notice how the toes have to balance and move very subtly to keep you balanced, and then bending into the knees. When you come down and bend into the knees, make sure we're not doing surfer pose with the bum out. Try and keep the head stacked over the shoulders, over the hips, and the hips over the heels. So we have a nice long spine. Inhale, rising up, using that chair if you need it. Exhale, lower the heels and a little bend into the knees, keeping that upright spine. Keep that engagement of the belly as if you're drawing the belly button to spine. Just 2 more of these. Rising up on the inhale, lowering on the exhale. This time I invite you to bring in a little arm work. Only if the balance is okay. You can do it with just one arm if you need to hold on to the chair or the wall. On the inhale, this time floating the arms up overhead. So the feet have to adapt. Everything is working strongly. Exhale, circle the arms out and down, bending into the knees. Inhale, rising up with the arms as well, and then circle the arms down. Once more, rising up. Feet are working well, lovely, and circle out and down. The next time we lift the heels now, we're going to stay up on the toes for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done, and lower the heels. Another thing that's very important to maintain, particularly throughout our midlife and for the years beyond post-menopause, is the elasticity in our feet. So with that in mind, we're going to do a little bouncing effect with the heels. And we'll bring a little rhythm into it, or a little count. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A few more of these, just maintain that elasticity in our feet, and the sensitivity in our feet is very important throughout our midlife years and beyond. You might notice that the muscles in the calves now are really warmed up at this stage, and you might be feeling them. And relax. This time, step the feet maybe a little further apart. That's more comfortable for you. And we're going to bend into the knees. So it's just a very subtle little move. We're still keeping that alignment. Just check in the head, stacked over the shoulders over the hips over the heels. Engaging those quadriceps, those big muscles of the thighs, rooting down through the feet. So we're doing what we call isometric stretching here, which is contracting the fibers of the muscles against the bones to work the bone tissue, and using the resistance of the floor by pressing our feet into the floor and really activating all the muscles of the legs right up and all around the pelvis area. On the next inhale, lift one heel and then slowly lower it with control. On the next inhale, lift the other heel. You can rest the hands by the sides or on the hips and lower it with control. Continue from one side to the other. It might help to, say, visualize a big juicy orange under your heel, and you're trying to squash the juice out of it as you lower the heel. So you're really getting that work through the feet and all up along the muscles of the legs and all around the pelvis. So just 2 more of these on either side. That's it. Now with this little squat position, just ease out of that and just give the legs a little shake out. You might like to, if you have anything handy, you don't have to do this, but maybe bring in a little set of hand weights. Weight-bearing work is also recommended for helping our bone tissue and our muscle mass. And when we come into the squat this time, make sure the knees track in the same direction as the toes. You want to avoid putting any undue pressure on the knees, say by letting them drop into the center. So they need to go the same direction as the toes because they have those hinge joints. And you might like to do little bicep curls, either with or without the weights. So we're actually working the muscles and bones of the upper body. So slowly with the breath, controlled movements, inhaling and exhaling in your own time. Don't worry if you're not following my cues for breathing. The important thing is to keep breathing. Keep drawing in on that lower belly, engaging those core tummy muscles, supporting the lower back. Ease out of the squat, release the heels, release the legs a little bit. And we just vary that movement once more with the arms, this time coming into more of a goddess squat. So feeling empowered on this International Women's Day. Exhale, draw the forearms together. Inhale, open them out. Exhale, draw them together. Keep working those legs and pressing the feet into the mat. At the same time, working the upper arms. Maybe all along the arms. Even if you're not using weights, you can clench your fists and get this strengthening work through the arms. Working our muscles and our bones, or helping our bone strength. Release the arms down now, ease out of the squat, bring the feet back in. And just to release that, this is quite a bit of work. It may not have seemed like much work, but if you're clenching or working those muscles tightly, it's nice to just release them out, give them a little shake, release it all out. And Niamh, I'm sure we'll talk some more about the importance of rest and recuperation after exercise. So a little shake out, and I'll hand over to Niamh.
That's lovely. I'm guessing that if people who are watching, if you were performing what Mary was offering, kind of mindlessly thinking about other things, you might not feel very tired after it. But the whole thing is about the intention that you put into your practice, and making yoga really valuable for bones involves a conscious decision to, for instance, press the feet into the floor, that isometric stretching rather than the passive stretching. It's very easy to do your asana in a very passive way, which isn't going to stimulate your bones. You need that activation, which Mary so aptly demonstrated. I love that image of pushing down the orange rather than just plopping your heel on the floor. So that's a lot of what we need to be thinking of, adding that kind of intensity. Yes, Mary talked about the importance of rest. So one of the main contributors to the difficulties of the late reproductive stages, the perimenopause and menopause, but perimenopause in particular, is stress in the body, that our level of kind of our homeostasis shifts up a level, or shifts down a level rather, but up into the stress level. So normally after stress, our homeostasis will shift back to the norm. But often when our body is undergoing such strain, our homeostasis our stress levels get so raised that the body or the organism thinks that this is okay. So every time then our stress comes up a bit higher, we only reset to this slightly overly jangled, low-grade chronic stress state, instead of really coming down to a true homeostatic norm. So minding your stress response during your midlife is immensely important. So the empowering thing about perimenopause is you can take it as a sign that you need more downtime. So for instance, I would say that yoga is beautifully created for the midlife woman, but I think we need more of the most important thing the most important thing in yoga, which is the shavasana, the rest. I think we need to intersperse our practices with little rests. We also can intersperse our practices with the pursuit, folks, of pleasure. Pleasure may seem quite distant to you as a yoga practitioner or a yoga teacher, but actually it's a birthright. We are hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, but unfortunately we've kind of crowbarred ourselves into thinking that more and more effort is beneficial to feel no pain, no gain, and all that kind of thing. My motto in the instinct is no pleasure, no treasure. And it is not because it's fun, which it is because it is medicinal. And the pleasure hormones, the feel-good hormones, dwindle in perimenopause as well, not just estrogen and progesterone. So we have a choice to pursue the release of oxytocin and serotonin and the endorphins. And then they are anti-inflammatory, they support our sleep, they support our feelings of well-being, they reduce our sense of pain. And there can be a lot of pain, physical pain. Many women experience physical pain just for random reasons in yoga. So what I'd like you to do, and this is my main prescription to all my clients, the first thing I offer them is to either lie on your bed, lie on the floor, lie on the sofa, stay sitting where you are. And what I'd like you to do is imagine that you are in the most magnificent queen-sized bed. And no, bloody hell, king-sized bed, empress-sized bed, excuse my French, excuse me for swearing. And you've just woken up in this perfect bed with beautiful cotton sheets on your first day of your paradise holiday. And if you would like to close your eyes, I invite you to do so, but you're very welcome to leave them open, which is very supportive for the nervous system because our nervous system really trusts our eyes. So if you want to look around, see the wonderful room that you've created, the pictures you've chosen, look at the nice things in your life, or close your eyes. And let this imagination come in that you are in this perfect moment. Nobody's sharing the bed with you and snoring or being a bit too hot and sticky next to you. You have the whole bed. And could you imagine that moment of waking up and suddenly remembering where you are and that moment where you think, oh, the bliss of this moment. And just imagine what kind of expression would come over your face in that moment. Maybe a little smile at the corners of your eyes, of widening there. Maybe a little smile at the corners of your mouth. And maybe this lovely sense of sinking into the bed, that there's nothing that is drawing you out of here. There's no reason that you need to change a thing. And then could you allow your head and neck to start moving in a way that feels like you would be exploring the sense of the pillow behind your head or the air in front of your face, or as if someone you really loved had held their hand up against your cheek and you just wanted to move into it. So how would you move your face and head? Moving the neck is great for the nervous system, but can we just seek what feels yummy? And then let that movement begin to turn into or segue its way into your shoulders, so that maybe the image you might enjoy is a bear having a little scratch up against a tree, or if you're still in that holiday double bed, you're feeling the warm air under the sheets and the cool air with your shoulders, and you're just playing with where can I feel a bit more warmth, where can I feel a bit more softness with my shoulders. And then could you let that movement begin to move down into your chest and rib cage, and you're just beginning to think about arching and rounding and entering into this animal-like stretch. Let your arms get involved now and let them float maybe to the ceiling, maybe out wide, maybe above your head, wherever you are, and bring out your inner pussycat. So cats are the queen of the species of this planet, in my opinion, because they know when to rest, when to play, when to feel sensual, when to ask for stroking, when to sleep, and when to say, go away. I don't want anybody in my space anymore. I'm busy pandiculating. Let this movement come down into your waist, your belly, and down into your legs. Mine are floating up off the floor here. I'm having a good old reach through my legs, feeling the fascia and feeling the skin and the adipose tissue or the superficial fascia or your fatty layer, which is a very sensual part of our body. Can you allow yourself to enjoy the movement of this body as it is? Knowing that as we decrease stress and increase pleasure, we are also supporting our bone and muscle health, because when we have too much stress hormone, this is catabolic and chomps away at our muscles, chomps away at our bones. So can you be the bonkers lady that I'm being right now, which is live on air, mooching about in absolute delight? And begin to let that movement slow down and become smaller. And let it slow down a bit more. And let it get smaller. And as it starts to get smaller, could you notice the sensations in your body? As you eventually come to stillness, and feel free to keep moving if you want to, eyes open or closed, notice the reverberation, the echo of that movement that you have just, I hope, enjoyed. Notice how ready perhaps your body is to go into a movement practice, a yoga practice, or to go to bed, or to get up and make your breakfast. And, if you were doing this in the morning, this is a really valuable practice to do in your bed in the morning, because it gets the neurotransmitters firing, and it takes a little creates a little journey and movement for the synovial fluid, which can reduce at this midlife phase, gets the lymphatic fluid flowing. So it's a great wake up, both to pleasure, a sense of it's okay if I don't do exactly the thing I've been told I should do, as long as I allow my body to move as it was born to move, to breathe, and to respond to its signals of pain by stopping, and its signals of pleasure by pursuing. So for this Women's Yoga Day, no, not this Women's Yoga Day, this Women's International Women's Day, I would ask you to empower yourself with the reclamation, the reclaiming of the word pleasure as medicinal, not an indulgence, but a birthright that supports you physically, mentally, biochemically, emotionally. I'm going to hand over to Mary now to do a little breathing practice. The two breathing practices she's doing are both proven, as in clinically researched, to support the stages of menopause, hot flushes, sleeplessness, and anxiety. And then I'm going to take over from Mary when she's done this little breath practice and give you a small, hopefully empowering meditation.
Thank you, Niamh. I had to quickly get up from my stretching out on the floor there. It was gorgeous. I really enjoyed that. Pandiculation. So this practice is really good for anybody who's ever wanted to try meditation and feels it may not be for them, or they don't have the time. I've learned it as the square breath. You can use maybe the screen in front of you is a good way of trying it out. We inhale, say, across the top of the screen. We hold the breath down the side of the screen. We exhale along the bottom, and then we pause and hold the breath along the top. It's also, recently I've come across it in Dermot Whelan's book, Mindful, as the 16-second breath. So 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds pause, 4 second exhale, and 4 second pause. So easy peasy, 16 seconds. So just take a big deep breath into the belly to start with. Hold it for a little minute there, and then release it. And I'll start counting you through and for the 16 seconds. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. We'll do another little round or two. This is very simple and easy, and you can add on an extra 16 seconds depending on the length of time you have to practice. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And it's as simple as that. I'll hand over to you now, Niamh, for the next part.
So you're really welcome to keep breathing that way, or to let it change as naturally as your body requires. It's really valuable to continue breathing deeply as often as you get the opportunity. But think of all these practices that Mary and I are giving you as little snacks to keep you going. So movement snacks, breathing snacks, de-stress snacks are really on the menu for the perimenopausal and midlife woman because her life is so busy. You might find, this is a little meditation I wrote some time ago, that during perimenopause and midlife, and indeed in a parenting role, that you are in a life phase where you are part of what's called the sandwich generation, where you may have young kids, parents to care for, or you may be even caring for the parents of your partner, and you may be caring for your work. You may be caring as a self-employed yoga teacher for your students and your business. And alongside that, we have requests from our work, from society, to be more of, different than we are, less than what we are or how we would be. And we can enter a stage where we feel a sense of overwhelm. Overwhelmed by uncertainty, bodily changes, a new emotional state, or hot flushes or sleeplessness. But take a moment to notice now, really neutrally, that you're just here right now. Feel what's under your bottom, behind your back if you're leaning against something. Notice that you are simply here right now. Feel free to look around, again, noticing. I'm here right now in this room. There's the door, the window, the picture, the texture of a cushion. Notice that you are here. Notice the space around you, physically, in the air around you, and know that you affect the space around you. Your molecules, your energy is literally physically affecting the molecules around you. So you are bigger than you are, and you have an impact out wider than the space you take up. As you inhale, could you feel yourself expanding into that space? Exactly as you are, the shape you are. As you inhale, allow yourself to take up the space. Step into the space you deserve. With each breath in, expand into your space. Feel yourself moving the air as you inhale, taking up your space. The cat again, the cat when it plumps up its fur to look bigger. Take up your space confidently. As you exhale, feel yourself going into your center, coming into those resources that are about being still and quiet and curling in on yourself, which you so deserve also. Moments to rest, moments to be quiet and still. But in this midlife, as a woman, could you allow yourself to focus on your inhale and even on every part of your breath, every moment of your day? Could you focus on expanding into the space you deserve in this world to which you have so richly contributed? You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be seen, to be heard, no matter what your life phase. If you are in puberty, if you are a pregnant mother-to-be, if you are a woman who has never had children, if you are a woman who is 87 and a half with deep wrinkles and health issues, you deserve to be seen and to take up your space in this world to which you are and have richly contributed. Picture yourself advocating for your needs to be met. What do you need? What is the challenge of your life now asking of you? See yourself taking what you need, advocating for your changing body, advocating for yourself and for the girls and women coming up behind. Then notice the touch of your hands somewhere on your body or on the floor or on what you're lying on or sitting on. Notice the shape of your body and the way your breath moves your body. With a few blinks, open your eyes and have a little look around the room. Again, to look around at our space is very soothing for the nervous system. Our nervous system trusts our eyes. So when you're feeling overwrought, try and tell your brain you know where you are. Your brain needs to know that it's safe. And then offer yourself a little yawn stretch again. Pandiculate. And if you do yawn, that's really good for your nervous system too. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And I hope that between me and Mary, or Mary and I, we've given you two sides of what we need to do for women in midlife, which is to stay strong, to stay healthy, but also to, well, this will all offer us health, but to really look after our empowerment, our pleasure, and our rest.
I absolutely loved the practice, and I was doing the whole way through and enjoying it because, yeah, being a mindfulness teacher, I know that you can train yourself to be happy. It's possible to learn to be happy. You don't have to be born like that. So I absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, both of you, for this wonderful practice. And we are actually running over time. So very quickly, Neve, if people want to reach you and they want to sign up for the course, what they need to do?
Yeah, they can just go on to 𝐸instinktyoga.com and it's spelt there for you, isn't it? And they can find me on Instagram too. I do a lot of announcements about my courses on Instagram, and it's 𝐸instinkt Yoga on Instagram as well. And it's online this March. I might not be online for a wee while, but that means you can join me from anywhere in the world if you join me this month.
Thank you. And Mary, people, especially living in the Trim area and around, if they want to join your Breathe Yoga and Pilates classes,
yes,
what they need to do?
Our logo is here behind me, Breathe Yoga and Pilates in Trim, County Meath. But we also stream all our classes live online at the same time. So wherever you are in the world, you're welcome to join us, whether it's for pregnancy yoga, yoga for women's well-being, which includes Pilates, as well as the breath work and meditation work. And any of our yoga or Pilates classes, our full details are on our website. We're also on Instagram at Breathe Trim and in Facebook and Google. If you just Google us, you'll find us.
Thank you so much. And Sangamitra, your singing was definitely icing on the cake. We really loved the singing and the start of the International Women's Day by feeling empowered with Durga's chanting. And let's finish today's session with, I will say a few words from the poem by SRW, and it's very much related to what we have already done. She vowed to learn to love herself, like a child learns to walk, even if that took some falling, and some you can do it. Talk. She pulled herself up on unsteady footing and knew that one step was a start, until it becomes a second nature to have walking down to an art. But just as walking starts with crawling, she knew self-love started with self-like, and that losing her footing occasionally didn't mean the finish line was out of sight. So stay strong, stay focused. You can do it. You can achieve all your dreams no matter what. And don't let anyone make you feel small, because you are not. We are women. We are strong. We have been created in this world to have our own place that we deserve, as Neve's meditation rightly guided us to claim our much deserved space in this world. So namaste and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Lovely to be
Thank
with
you,
you,
Aparna.
all of you.
Thank you. Lovely to be with you all.